DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
It's time for Tuesday Night Live Chat with Brian S. Red and John Young. There must be one too many videos that I'm trying to play here at the very end, because it always does that. Okay.
But it corrects itself.
It does, but I click go to advance, and then we have to wait.
Hi, everybody. By the way.
now we'll start the show.
Are we there?
Yes, we are. We actually are.
Oh, hey!
Good evening, and welcome to Tuesday night, where we're going to talk about all of the things in your life that are wrong, and we're going to fix them with
That's what we're here
Pastor
for.
Jay
Look
and
who's
Dr.
got
Brannan.
to help.
We have all the answers for you.
Everything's going to be coming to you in tonight's show. It's going to be absolutely fabulous. We've got a variety of different things we're going to be talking about. Our first session tonight, we're going to kind of focus in on the topic of tonight's video, which is talking about the truth behind a lot of these gear videos that you're seeing on YouTube. The reason I wanted to talk about this tonight is that next week is NAMM.
We're going to be at NAMM.
And there's going to be more videos coming out to you from a variety of different sources. And it's tough to tell. Guys, I really kind of feel a lot of this is like this whole fake news. Oh, we're gonna. What?
Sorry, my wife just showed up. Had to give her a kiss hello. Sorry, my bad.
Well, that's
my
okay.
family.
That's okay. We could have, Brian and I might have been able to hold on for a couple of minutes if you needed to go and,
Service the account.
He went there. I wasn't going to go there, but he did go there. So,
Well, you're in the Iceland. You got nothing else to do. I don't, not surprised that's where you went.
Well, it's ironic that he went there instead of me because I'm the one with the 45 kids, from what I've been told. So, anyway.
About Brian Battle.
John, are we broadcasting okay?
Yeah, we should be.
I'm not seeing anything on YouTube.
Oh.
Actually, I'm on
Just
going there right now. It's just shocking news. Oh, there it is.
It says live stream offline.
Let's just check and see if they. There's 10 people watching. So where are they watching?
Well, I've got one waiting on what I'm looking at here.
Yeah, I've got.
Unless you changed it. You changed it. You've got two different things up.
Oh, did it feed to a different one?
Yeah, you've got two different things up.
Okay, so hang on a sec.
So that I'm going to go to the other thing.
Well, just a second. It might have just switched over because I just went and clicked the one I thought it was. Should have been.
Chat is disabled for this live stream, is what it says.
Okay, so now this.
Sorry, guys.
No, thanks for pointing it out.
Yeah. Okay. So now the actual video link that we typically use is active. So yeah, it went. Facebook is working. Thank you for that. Unfortunately, it went to the wrong spot. I clicked on the wrong button, and it can either go to the player that it's supposed to, or it can go to a different spot. So for those of you who are just joining us and you're watching this later on YouTube, you're going to get right into the show. We're not going to be doing all of our pre stuff. So, gentlemen, NAMM's next week, and of course, there's a lot of people. It used to be that what Brian did at NAMM was unique. There weren't many people who were going there with a camera to tell the story of the new gear. Yeah. Now everybody and their mother are doing it. I'm almost looking at that as fake news in some ways, to a point.
I agree.
And I guess what I wanted to kind of dig into a little bit is why has this become such a big thing for so many people who are just excited to, they want to talk about the gear and do these videos. What's the appeal behind that? I mean, for me, it was easy. I'm a news source. So for me, it wasn't my first choice to go do it, but it became almost a necessary evil for myself.
Yeah.
Brian, you were one of the first ones. So let's kind of start, as you see these people doing this, what do you think their motivation is behind a lot of that?
Views. It's just to get content up there, to get views on their content, and to do something on YouTube, I guess. I mean, there's money to be made on YouTube, not a lot. I mean, I'm not making a lot, but there is money to be made on YouTube just from the views and the ads and things. People like to do that. But if I may, go back to kind of how this all kind of started.
Sure.
And I got to go back to 2007 because that was my first year live on YouTube. And Jonathan Alaskans, the DJ tutor, and I were kind of doing this together for the first year. We were working pretty close as far as what our content was, and we were playing off of each other. And he would do one thing, I would do another thing. He was the first one to get some gear. And the way it worked was Vestack saw the videos and said, hey, we want to do some product placement with you.
Sure.
So they sent him some turntables, and of course he got very excited. And it was very exciting that someone was paying attention to us.
Right, yeah.
So he got rid of his 1200s and started using this Vestack stuff. I was like, oh, don't get rid of your 1200s, man. I think this is just the beginning. And that was, I think, July maybe of 2007. And then it must have been either October or November of 2007, I caught the attention of, at the time, American DJ. And that's when my relationship began with them. And it was an email from Brian Dowdle, and who was a very good friend of mine to this day. And the arrangement was, he's like, look, we have some things, we want to show you. I'd gone to Guitar Center with Stevie, and I had a couple bucks from some gigs that I had done. And I bought a Chauvet View 3. And it was, the guy blew it out to me. I knew the guy at the store, so I got it for whatever, like damn near cost.
Sure.
And I did a video on it. And I guess I had been on ADJ's radar because I had done a video maybe 6 months previous, and their PR guy had shown it to them and said, we need to pay attention to this guy and find an opportunity to talk to him because he's got an audience. So I got this email probably 10 minutes after I posted the video, and they said, look, if you like the View 3, you might want to try the Rebo 3. I was like, well, sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to do it. So he sent it, and I did a video on that, very similar to the video I did on the View 3. And it got a good response. And boy, I think it was Mobile Beat where I actually met everybody at the company. Mm-hmm. And they just like, hey, we want to just, take care of you. You want to show our products, do it. So I did. And what I was able to do with them, which was really good as a launching point. And it was new for everybody. It was new for them. It was new for me. It was something that, this YouTube thing was brand new. And so there wasn't a formula for it. But what I did is kind of picked and choosed what things I got.
Sure.
I didn't want things that at the time I didn't feel like were something that I wanted to use. So don't just send me everything you have. Let's look at things that I think that I'd like, And so I was able to kind of pick. And Brian would say, hey, would you like to have a look at this? And sometimes I would say, sure. And sometimes I would say, you know what? I don't know if that's for me or not.
Right. So
I was specifically hand-picking things that I liked, opposed to just taking everything they wanted to send me. Because the way it worked was they wanted someone to say something nice about their products, right? If it was something that I didn't like, or it wasn't going to work well for me, it probably wouldn't be the best thing for me to talk about.
Right.
Because that was kind of, early on, that was kind of my formula. It was very vlog and whatever. And I wasn't a sales guy, and I didn't want to be a sales guy. And I didn't even want to push something or even review anything. What I really wanted to do was just show them this is what it is, and this is the effect it creates, and this is how you could use it. That was my thing. And then all of a sudden it became this review thing. It's like, wait a minute, review what? I'm not reviewing anything, really. Or very rarely, unless, I don't know, I go out and buy something and I don't like it. But the trick bag is, I believe, with a lot of the YouTubers out there and people on social media who review equipment, is they do have an arrangement with the company. They do have a relationship with the company, and the company expects positive reviews.
Yep.
So no matter what, the YouTuber is going to give that positive review if they are sponsored by the company in some way, either with product or some kind of monetary gain with money or whatever. And that's why I think the reviews are kind of bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course you're going to say something nice about it. If you don't, they're not going to give you anything else. Whereas if you're very careful and selective about what you take and only show things that you feel like you will indeed like or do find useful, and don't review it and just give it some bullshit, thumbs up. I don't know. I think it's just more relevant to do it that way. But a lot of people don't. The formula that people have gone on to is anything that a company sends them is awesome. Doesn't matter what it is.
And I think that's part of the situation that we see on, with people who are doing the videos in their home or in their office, what have you. When we get into a situation like NAMM next week, I mean, Jay, you're going to see people coming up to you who I'm sure you've got people who are like, hey, I've got a blog and I want to, let's talk about this controller. And they don't. They've like they're like somebody who lives in their mom's basement type of thing.
Right. I think a lot of it over the years that I've learned, and there are major players in our industry of, there are sites and groups that we all know that's their livelihood is they review gear. Then they show tips and tricks and they do this, and this. And I think some of them are very pro DJ, and I think some of them are shills for the industry. And by shills, I mean, don't tell me week one that the Acme powered speaker is the best speaker you've ever heard. And then week 3, tell me that the widget speaker is the best speaker you've ever heard. I'm similar to Brian in respects to, just a side note, the NAMM issue. I was very fortunate to get some gear through American DJ because I bought gear through American DJ.
Right.
I still use it. I still use Freedom Bars. I still use the Atmospheric. I'm not a fan of saying this is good. It's like I've always hated that about, what is it, like NASCAR, where at the end of the race, the drivers have to put on like 15 different baseball hats because they have 15 different sponsors who have to see their names. Either you're behind it or you're not. What you use every week is what you should review. At NAMM, we get hit from every angle, and they, oddly enough, a lot of times come to me, where they go to Christian, DJ Pulse.
Yep.
And it's like, hey man, can I get a second? Can I do I want to do a thing on this. And half the time, I don't know who they are or where they're from. And it's always the same. Hey everybody, it's DJJ here at NAMM 2020. Check it out. I've got the new blank, blah, 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 blah. If you want more information, check us out at pioneerdj.com. You can also hit us up at the forum. There's a routine. I mean, you just do it. But I think the ones that I respect and love the most are the ones that come in and have something to say about the gear. Like if you just come in and go, hey man, what's new? What should we shoot? Meaning, hey man, what's going to get us the most traction? What's going to get us the most views? Well, I
ask when I go to Pioneer.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
it's exactly what I ask when I go to Pioneer. I don't know.
Well, yeah, but you're different. I love you. I mean, I don't
right. Last time, in all fairness, I mean, when I was at DJ Expo, I'm like, Jay, you know what? I really want something that's standalone. What do you have that does that? Show it to me.
Well, oddly enough, Brian, at NAMM, I'll be happy to walk you through the XDJ XZ. It's our 2-channel standalone with full-size platters from the CDJ 2000 Nexus 2s, but it also has an Ethernet hub, so it's actually a 4-deck, 4-channel, 900 Nexus 2 mixer in the middle, but it's standalone.
Boy, I flipped the switch, didn't I?
Yeah, you really did.
Yeah. He's been
practicing. But I'm looking forward to it.
Go to pioneerdj.com. DJJ here at NAMM 2020.
Oh, he's been. Gosh, he has been practicing.
He's been practicing.
Yeah. You know what? I think we're all the same. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I spoke with Ryan Berger the other day, and I mentioned to him his lineage with Mobile Beat and my history with Mobile Beat. I have a couple copies somewhere. from 1998 and 1999.
Nice.
I got really excited when I could open a magazine and go, wow, these are DJs. They're like-minded individuals. They do what I do for a living. They love music. They get to entertain crowds. Like, I'm that, I guess, naive to think that we're all in this because of passion and not just money.
Right.
Like, you can mix two songs with a million different softwares and a million different programs and whatever, but I love what I do. And here's the defining thing. If you wonder if you should be a DJ, you want to be a DJ when this statement is true. If I win the lottery, I would still DJ. Most people that have a job, if they win the lottery, won't go to work. If I win the lottery, I would still DJ. I would be happy to DJ every day. I love music. And that's the thing about NAMM, John. NAMM, my 16 years at NAMM, every year, it's music, geeks, freaks, nerds, people that love groups. I mean, every year, as you know, Brian, and you know, John, you walk through the hall and you're like, wow, that's Steven Tyler of Aerosmith. Wow, that's Stevie Wonder, because everyone sees Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, it's like, where's Waldo?
Yeah, no, he seriously.
It's Stevie, yeah.
Everywhere you look, it's Stevie Wonder, Dave Navarro, and Carlos Santana. You're guaranteed. You see one of those three or all three at the same time. But it's for people that love music, and that's a great feeling when you're in a room full of people that are all the same. Mobile Beat, DJ Expo, the DJ show in Vegas, Mobile Beat Chicagoland. That's what those shows have always meant to me. It's an opportunity to be around people that all want to be together because we have a passion for one thing, and we can talk about it. And the tragedy is the one thing that won't get talked about is music.
Yeah.
It's how many views can I get on my channel if I do a review of this piece versus this piece? You know what?
Going back to kind of what John was talking about initially, it's odd because, you know, I've noticed, and this is nothing new. This is something that I've always rebelled against, though, as a salesperson, whether it be as a DJ or when I was doing cars or whatever. I've rebelled against this, but it's very true. People like to hear what they want to hear. So when it comes to some of these product reviews, some people want to confirm
their beliefs,
or they want to justify their purchase, or they want you to justify a purchase for them. So if you were to say something is not great, yet someone has bought it, you're going to put that person on the defensive because they feel like, hey, wait a minute. It happens to me all the time. I did a video recently. I don't even remember what I was talking about, but I know what I was talking about. I was talking about that secondary mixing board that people use.
Yep.
They use a microphone mixer in addition to a controller.
Right.
And what a lot of people do,
I see that a lot.
But what a lot of people, but I understand why they do it. But what they do is they'll run the controller through the mic mixer and then run audios out of the mic mixer into the speakers. I personally feel like that's a mistake, especially with
the other way.
Right. Something like, okay, and I got in trouble for this. I got in big trouble for this. You got to be really careful how you word things. There was no intentions here. No
malice.
Nobody was paying me money. Nobody told me what to do. Nobody told me what to say. But a guy jumped my shit because I said, if you have a controller with really clean ins and outs and a really nice sound card, like something from Pioneer, then you probably don't want to run it through a little Mackie mixer because you're defeating the purpose of having those clean outs. It would be better if you ran that Mackie mixer with a really nice mic channel, by the way. You know, it's a better mic channel than what Pioneer offers, but it would be better if you ran that through an auxiliary input of the Pioneer mixer, and then ran that clean out of Pioneer into the speakers. A guy said, first of all, he's a shill for Pioneer because he.
Hold on. I'm sorry, Brian. I got to interrupt. I just got a call from Pioneer. You're not allowed in the booth at now.
Okay, sounds good. I said something bad about Pioneer. Yeah.
Even with the delay, that happened so quickly.
It was incredible how that happened.
Yeah. Okay. Bye. Nice knowing you guys. But no, I got in trouble because they said it was bad mouthing Mackie, and somehow I also somehow ended up bad mouthing Behringer, but I don't believe I mentioned Behringer, and everybody who had Behringer defended Behringer, and then people were yelling at me because they had Denon. And I was saying that only Pioneer had this. No, I didn't say any of that stuff. But people, they hear what they want to hear, and they want you to somehow justify their purchase or say nice things about what they've already bought or what they already believe.
I think a video that you haven't made yet, Brian, of the 18 million that you have, but I think when you haven't made that I would be interested to see the response to, this is the video. If you walked into a room and heard a DJ playing on your system, would you still want to own that system?
That's a really cool way to word that.
This is why I'm here, Brian. Every other week.
You used to do this all the time, then you stopped calling me all the time.
Well, hey.
You were my muse. You were my muse for the first, he was. Jay was my video muse for the first probably, I want to say 5-6 years.
Hey, are you hearing this, John?
I am. So let me.
This is real.
I think let me interpret it.
You got something in February. I'm just saying. Are you hearing any of this?
I think what Brian was saying is that you are the inspiration for a lot of the videos he did, because he would watch you do something wrong, and then he would do a video to explain how to correct it. Isn't that
Jay spoon-fed me so many cool concepts that I used. And it's not that I didn't come up with any of my own, but Jay did a lot of them. Like a big number of them were Jay inspired from phone conversations that we had. And he said, this is a big
conversation. But this is the problem. You get DJs just like me. I spent, 9 years in a row working with 2 CDJ 1000s. 1000s, a 600 mixer, and 2 Yamaha 15-inch powered speakers. 60 to 80 gigs a year. It wasn't 9. How many was it? It was 7 years. I'm sorry, 7 years. That was the setup. I went to a gig. I did a gig. There was no sense of, it was early in the 2000s, so there was no sense of, let me go to YouTube and see what I should use. You know what you use, guys? Use what works for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Buy the gear that works best, that you can afford, when you can afford it, that does the job you need it to do. I don't care if I make it, if Brian makes it, if somebody else makes it. But be good with it. Be happy and proud of it. Because if you walk in a room and your system is there and I use it, are you going to be happy? Are you going to say, man, this sounds great? I did the gig in Phoenix. I won't name the product that I heard or the company. I'll use, this guy, Mike, from a company that's got 2 letters that rhymes with like EV. And I got to work with his line array system that you use. I was amazed. I thought it sounded great, but I could find you 100 videos that say, it doesn't sound good.
Those are interesting too, because I've done videos on that recently.
There is no definitive answer. Do not tell me there is bad music. There is music you don't like. Don't tell me there's a bad line array. There's line arrays you don't like. What do you use? If you use a different line array every other wedding, you're a shill.
There was a video recently that somebody did on a line array system, and it's nothing that I've ever used. And they were saying how it really didn't work well. It was junk because it didn't project the sound very well, and in the room that they were in. And so, don't get it. This was their review on this piece. Speaking of reviews, and I didn't think much of it because I wasn't real familiar with the piece. And somebody pointed out to me that was trying to use a line array or a compact array that was more built for maybe 50 people, and he was trying to play in front of 150 people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's tough.
Wait a minute.
That's a variable.
You mean he's using that would be like me getting upset that I can't fit my entire family in a Honda Civic. It's like, come on, maybe the car's a little too small for my family. Maybe I should step up to a minivan or
minivans rock, bro. Don't
awesome.
minivans. We go way back with the minivan history. John, you're familiar with this, right?
Minivans?
They're going to put that Odyssey in the Smithsonian Institute. You know that.
Dude, 248,000 miles right now. Still cranking tunes.
Rick is in there. And Rick was wondering who the video was. Rick did a video talking about line array and throw situations. Ironically, Rick, after you did your video, I've seen 4 other videos come in there and talk about problems with throw when it came to array systems. And
but you know what? If Rick is listening to this, Rick, let me ask you, because hopefully I see you at NAMM or at least see you at Mobile Beat. And I like Rick, and I've watched Rick's videos.
You'll see him in February.
What's that?
You'll see him in February.
Oh, I hope so.
You remember this show? You're coming and you're going to be part of the chill room and to be able to.
Oh, yes. I will be there. Yes. Thank you, everyone. Announcement.
Nothing says chill like Jay.
Jay is going to be able to go and share the message.
Chill. You know what? I think you have to be, and I've had this talk with Ben Stowe. I'm not an audiophile. Christian Benke, DJ Pulse, Brian S. Red, Ben Stowe. They're the 3 authorities that I respect when it comes to speakers that I have called and said, I am thinking of doing this. I called Brian Red and said, I'm running my 2 JBL PRX 615s. I just got an Evolve, or no, the EV, what is it, the EXZA1, that 12-inch sub?
Oh, yeah. There was a
CXLA, whatever.
There was a ZX1 or something like that.
Yes.
That was the first gen, and now it's the
right. And I said, I'm going to run this under a table because I want to give a little more push, but not chest pumping, just a little push. Brian said good. Stowe said good. Christian said good. So I did. When someone comes on YouTube and I watch a video and they say, this system's really good, but it's not good for more than this or less than that, I'm going to be blunt. I take into consideration their age because I find younger DJs have the same thing that when I was much younger and was in bands, that same sense of how many people can the club hold? 300. Okay, as a guitar player, I want 2 Marshall 100 JCM heads and I want 4 cabs. Wait, that's overkill. No. That's what I need to hold this club. No, it's not. That's overkill. But when you're young, you tend to view systems as, you know what, it's not loud enough. Mm-hmm. Guys, we're usually behind the speakers. It's never loud enough. You got to stop judging things from behind. Go out in front. As Brian said, how's your light show? Oh, it's awesome. How does it look from the crowd? Oh my gosh, it's a train. It's coming at me through the tunnel. You know what? If somebody wants an EV system or a Pioneer system or whatever, get the system that works and sounds good to you. The question I have is, if you went into a store with a black curtain, would you leave with the same system you own? Chances are you wouldn't.
Well, here, let me just address Rick's video and what you're talking about here, because I pulled some things up. I'm not real familiar with Turbo Sound, okay? I'm not. And
Turbo Sound has a rep from the old days of being a big Euro array system.
Well, you know, I've heard some stuff recently, and it's pretty good. I know it's owned by, I believe it's owned by the
You're owned by
Behringer now, but there's still, I don't believe the product's crap. It's just, here, look. Okay, I'm looking at the system that Rick used, okay? It's the IP300. It's a 600 watt, which means nothing, powered modular columns loudspeaker with 2 6.5-inch woofers and 4 2-inch neodymium drivers, all right? I don't know what size the event was that Rick was playing for, but that's not enough speaker for the event. I don't care. It's too small. You can't complain about something being too small if it wasn't built for what you were trying to do. Now, if Rick would have had the Inspire IP3000, he'd have made people's ears bleed. Right. This system that's is more system. Than built. This is a system that Chris Bedke in Rialto, California, uses for 500 kid school dances.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let me give you an idea of what we're talking about here. I'm looking at, what am I looking at? I'm looking at Sweetwater. Okay. They've got this system right now at a price. It's $424.95. Okay. So not only is it a small speaker, but it's a budget speaker. Okay. This is the IP300.
Oh, the 3000 is $100,000.
No. The 3000 they've got it at $14,999, and that's about right. I think people have stepped into it for less than they have the Evolve 50, so you might be able to get it for around 12. You might even be able to get around for $1,000, depending on where you shop for it. I don't know what MAP is on the thing. I'm not familiar with the company, but what I am saying is Rick compared this. He talked about column arrays in general, and what Rick did was he put a thumbnail up that said, my review on the column array speakers. Actually, no, he had another one that in the thumbnail it said they suck, is what it said. And I'll go back and look at this. Column array speakers, they suck, is what his thumbnail says. Now, I will say this to Rick directly, and I will say to everyone who is listening, I like Rick. I've met Rick. I think he's a cool dude. But with power comes responsibility. You've got an audience. Be mindful of that. And when you put up a headline that says column arrays, speakers, they suck, and it gets shared on Facebook, sometimes the only thing people end up seeing is column array speakers, they suck. They don't even watch the video to hear what you had to say.
Yep. Hold on, Brian. I got clickbait. Oh, I'm sorry.
Headlines are a big deal. You got to be careful with that stuff. People can see that and get the wrong idea. Now, not only that, but use this little bitty speaker, this IP300, for this event. It wasn't enough speaker. I don't care. If you did an event of 50 people, you might have been okay with it. But you didn't. If you had the right speaker, you might have found that it didn't suck, because it doesn't suck. They do a pretty good job. I've heard the IP3000. Chris Becky has them. I demoed them last year in his garage. They'll rip your face off.
Yeah.
There's no way that somebody in your average size wedding room isn't going to hear everything that you put through that speaker. There's no way. It just is not going to happen. It's tall, it's big, it's dual 12s, and it's a big column. And I think it's like, again, means nothing, but they're going 2,000 watts on that one compared to the 600 watts they're claiming that the other one has. Not that watts matter, it's about SPL, but still, my rant's over. But that kind of stuff is what I'm talking about. You know, if you're going to help somebody. Please help somebody. If you have an opinion on something, yeah, share it. But you know what? Help somebody. You know, it's not just about getting clicks and views. You know.
Hey, John, I hate to interrupt, but could we talk about Prince or something just to bring Brian down a little?
I was going to say,
I'm done.
I had a direction I wanted to go with that, and I was setting it up, and then there was this tangent he took.
I thought it was less of a tangent and more of just a thing, you know?
Yeah,
by the way, to Robin, who we all know and love for Fly Robin, I'm actually going on the road with Black Crows as a guitar roadie. So just to be clear with your comment about kind of the California hippie thing.
Is that before or after you're going to be the stunt double for Keanu Reeves and Bill and Ted?
Yeah, I got
face the music.
Gray. It's the Gray, I think.
I think Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
Well, Temecula isn't that far from San Dimas.
Shave it, do the Lemmy and shave it this way, and try to.
In fact, I have driven. I believe I've driven from San Dimas to Temecula. It's only like a little over an hour.
San Dimas High School football rules. Love you.
Well, let me show you something. We'll get off of this, right, and we'll do this weird transition that doesn't mean anything. And then John can then take this and start with a fresh topic. So what I'll do is almost like a commercial break. Okay. And I'm going to be talking about these plastic record sleeves. Okay. I got 2 packs of these. They're 100 sleeves each. They're not the best sleeves in the world, but they are sleeves. They're thin. They're shiny. I think I paid $13.98 for them or something on Amazon, just because I wanted to protect some of the cover art on my records. And I made the little, it was kind of a joke, but it was true. If you go shopping and you want to go, I don't know, get a pack of gum, you go to a shop, and if it says it's SHOP on the shop, you're going to go in there and buy a pack of gum, no problem. If it says SHOPPE, you're going to spend twice as much for that pack of gum, all right? Because they've dolled it up a little bit. It's the same thing that record stores do with these record sleeves. So let's just say that I go into Old Town Records in Temecula, California, and I buy a copy of Van Halen 1, all right? It's got a black cover on it. It's pretty cool. It's got you could kind of see what the record was because it's been in a crate for a while. But, maybe I pay 99 cents for this album, okay?
That's a disgrace.
It's a disgrace, but it happens. And I think, in fact, there's a sticker on here, and it says, 50 cents. I paid 50 cents for this record. Okay.
Jeez.
Now. Okay. Hey, I'm a crate digger, man.
Top 100 albums of all time. That one.
And
Let's look at the same album, the cover roughly the same condition with the shiny sleeve on it. Look at that. That makes a difference. Presentation is everything, folks. If you go into a record store and they have everything sleeved, that 50-cent album, and I'll show you that it says 50 cents on there, just turn into a $12 album with a sleeve on here that costs pennies. It's a marketing trick.
The dog just urinated on the albums on the bottom, just to let you know.
And I know Jay's singing, surely not 50 cents. Well, here, let me see if I can.
Okay, that's insane.
Okay, 50 cents I paid for that.
That's a great album.
It's a great album, and it's groundbreaking. I'd never heard anything like it before.
Yeah, it was one of a kind.
I'm all about David Lee
Without
Roth.
looking, do you know who produced it? Without looking,
No.
Todd, I think, or Ted Templeton. But do you know who signed them to the label? Who like kind of found them in LA and
Oh, you know what? I've heard this before and I can't remember.
Gene Simmons of Kiss.
Do you know who Eddie and Alex Van Halen's Musical Theory teacher was?
I do, and I can't. The same thing. I can't think of the name.
I know his daughter very well. His daughter is married to Brian Dowdle.
Oh, yeah, we've had this talk. That's
Callan, we'll call him Mr. Fisher.
Okay.
Was Eddie and Alex's musical theory teacher.
Their dad was a professional saxophone player. He plays the sax on Bad Billy is Good Willie Now.
Big Bad Bill is Sweet Willie Now. Big Bad Bill. Old blues song. But if you go onto the liner notes on a lot of these Van Halen records, sometimes they'll actually thank Mr. Fisher in the credits.
That's awesome.
So,
yeah.
Sorry.
But again, this goes your break.
Here's your transition, John. Now you can go wherever you want.
Well, actually,
it goes right back to the whole passion for music.
And that's kind of what the last part of this video tonight I wanted to do. And I wanted to go into vinyl because
live?
Yeah, we are.
Oh, good. Okay.
Because I had a friend that sent over, speaking of vinyl.
Oh no.
A picture. For anyone who's ever called my cell phone, you probably have an idea of why.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, if you know John, it's true. It's been that way since I've known him.
Yep. It's
picture disc.
The picture disc of the Pink Panther Country album.
Is that your ringtone too, or is that just the ring when you call?
When they call it. It's the ringback tone.
What's your ringtone right now? Heart and Soul? Or
depends on who's
Have
calling.
to Be Square or something?
Some are, there's different Huey songs for different people.
This is it.
Yeah. So, but I wanted each of you to give us your top 3 suggested albums for anyone who's going to get into vinyl, wants to go in the first 3 albums that they should purchase in their collection. And I'll give you a couple of seconds to think about it because, well, in my case, my first one is going to be sports, and you guys can't use that one.
I'm going to go first because Brian's going to have so much better of an answer than me.
No, not better, different.
I was going to different because let's face it, you guys aren't going to be able to exceed sports, so you're just going to be in second place.
That's the other side of the coin. Oh man, I'm going to surprise you. I'm going to speak strictly from vinyl.
Yep, it's got to be vinyl.
No, it's all vinyl.
Yep, just vinyl. Okay. Your first 3 pieces.
This is the word
vinyl.
I don't like. I call them records.
Right. Okay.
The Good Day records.
My first one would be Miles Davis.
Kind of Blue.
Bitches Brew. Yeah. Because you're going to experience what it must have been like to be there in person as you listen to that vinyl. Because it's an incredible album, but it's from a vinyl aspect where you get that analog warmth. Just incredible. The next one, for me, and if you listen to it all the way through, I think you'll see why. Believe it or not, would be Aerosmith live bootleg on vinyl.
I wouldn't have expected that.
It covers their career from early 72, 73 Pall Mall days up to whenever they were playing. The album came out in, I think, 78, 79, somewhere in there. But it's a great example of rock. My third one would be a tie. Even though later in life I found out they're not both live, but from, again, vinyl, dropping a needle, I'm going to be honest, it would be Kiss Alive and Kiss Alive 2. And they would be tied. Because, again, there's something about, I've heard them on tape, vinyl, and CD. And both of them are superior on vinyl than they are on tape or CD. And by the way, if you're watching, and I know a lot of record companies watch this, John, you have a lot of pull, EMI, Universal, all you guys, stop remastering. I don't want a remastered version. I want the original version.
Then go buy the original.
Stop. But this is the problem, Brian. They come back with here's the new remastered. I don't want it remastered. I want
keep sales up.
I want the original.
John, what you got?
Miles, I would do. I'm going to slide a fourth in there real quick.
Sure.
Traffic. Low Spark of High Hill Boys. Incredible. And again, you get the pops and the hisses. And this I don't know for a fact because I don't have any of it. And Brian, maybe you do. I've heard from good sources, everything Pearl Jam has ever done is available on vinyl. And the vinyl versions have a warmth to them that every fan of Pearl Jam I know prefers that to any of the other formats. Brian.
Oh, no, John, please. I'll go last.
Well, my three, of course, would be sports. Would be the number one.
Huey Lewis in the News Sports.
Huey Lewis in the News Sports. See, I just kind of figured that it would be.
Right.
No. The second one would be the nostalgia, going back to Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band from the Beatles. Ooh. And that mainly is because beginning to end, you listen to it and it's this progression through the album at a way that we just don't do it anymore. And that was one that, as a child, Dad and I listened to that one together. So it's got a couple of different things.
That's awesome.
It's a personal. And the third one is probably, I think I've got it back here, Billy Joel's Glass Houses.
Oh, it's a solid album.
Really good album. Great album.
Great album.
And it's just I enjoy that period of time. Of course, that's the period of time in which Billy Joel stayed for the rest of his career. But that was a great album. And I think that's one of the few albums I have. I had it on cassette, CD, and vinyl. And I think I actually bought it on mini disc also.
Did it have Honesty on it?
I don't remember. It's been a while since I don't think so.
That was before.
What was the breakout on Glass Houses?
Still Rock and Roll to Me. You may be right.
Alan
Don't ask me why.
Yeah. Anyway, so those would be the three that I would be. Now Yacht Rock. Actually, I don't know if you. It's not. The now Yacht Rock is on the other side because my kid's coming into the office now because there's a foosball table and a pool table, and they have found out that they like listening to. Their biggest complaint though is that every 12 minutes they have to go and flip it.
By the way, John, if you can get it on vinyl, I used to have it. Songs from the Addict is an incredible vinyl piece. Billy Joel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good too.
Oh, beautiful. Live Miami 2017. How do you beat that?
Okay.
Let me do my Brian S. Red impersonation. Okay. Prince.
Well, that's tonight's show. Thank you guys for coming.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I appreciate it. Good night, everybody.
Well, who am I to tell you what you want to hear? But what I can tell you is there are certain things that I would look for in your first purchase. If you, I don't know why you want records. I mean, I know why I want records. I want records because really, when I was younger, this kind of stuff right here, this was so highly coveted by people who owned it. This was a big deal. And it was something you could touch and feel, and had cover art, had liner notes. It was a physical thing, and it was art too. And people would be really cool if they had like a great turntable to play the records on. Most people that I knew didn't. Most people had like some kind of stereo with a turntable built into the top of it kind of thing.
Yeah.
From the 70s or whatever. But if you had like a legit record player, I mean, you were a pretty cool dude. But this stuff was so highly coveted, and I mean, I loved it. I didn't have a lot of it because we didn't have a lot of dough, but I would buy things when I could. And then it was a trip when people started disposing of this stuff, especially DJs when we went CD. I mean, this stuff was like, I should get 50 cents on the Van Halen record. That was not uncommon. I was getting $5 for $1 for a minute. And I mean, good stuff. One of my $5 for $1 purchases was a mint copy of New Order Substance 87. I kid you not. And I own it, and it cost me 20 cents. I mean, that was a normal thing for a while in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And I found all the spots people were disposing of the stuff, and I bought it. And now we have something that's a lot of hand going on back here. But no, I mean, I've gone through it. Most everything that's in there right now is really a treasure. I mean, it's in really good shape. I got rid of all my junk, and everything I have in there is just really special. It's good stuff, and it's in good shape. So I'm pretty happy about that. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to pick up a record, there are a couple things I'll just share with you. What I have the most fun with are singles from Europe, like 12-inch singles. And the ones that I enjoy the most are the ones that came out probably early 80s through the mid 80s. I'm having the most fun with. And the reason I like the stuff out of Europe more so than I like the domestic stuff is 12-inch singles in the US typically are 33 RPM. I mean, that's the norm. But, you know, most every single coming out of Europe is 45. So not only do you have more surface room and deeper grooves on, you know, a 12-inch record, especially if it's like a 180-ounce piece, but it's going faster, so it's just better. You get more concentrated little bumps and things to make the sounds that you want to hear.
That's awesome.
The most amazing thing that I've ever heard on 12-inch, and yeah, it's an import that I've had for probably the better part of 30 years, and I bought it used, and it's a German copy of Stevie Nicks' Stand Back on 45 RPM 12-inch. It's the single version. It doesn't sound any different than the version that's on the Wild at Heart album, but the grooves are deep. It's a heavy piece of wax, and it's spinning around really fast. And okay, so with CDs and digital music, as most of you know, it's bits of information, you know, pushed really close together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a dotted line, but the dots are so small that it's almost like pixelized, like your television set. You're actually just looking at a bunch of little pixels here on the screen right now.
Right.
You're not looking at me live. You know, even HD is still pixels. Even 4K is pixels. But when you listen to a record, that is, what do they call that? Linear? It's analog.
Makes sense. It's analog, yeah.
It's one continuous thing. It's not bit. It's one continuous thing.
That's
the most amazing sound that I've ever heard come out of a record is the bass synth on Stevie Nicks' Stand Back German import on 45 RPM. Because it's an analog synth. It's got just, all I can say is balls. It sounds amazing. And it really gives you a feel for what we were hearing in the 1980s. So when we were listening to the radio or we were going to the clubs, that's the sound we heard. It's just a little different than what you're going to hear digitally. And it's beautiful. Anything with strings in it is good too. You know, because, you know, a violin, the bow in a violin, it's not little bits and pieces of anything. It's one continuous analog thing. Anything that was originally recorded analog or any instrument that was analog, that's what I would recommend that you get on record. And LPs are great, but LPs are compressed. I mean, the grooves aren't as deep. Sometimes the weight of the record isn't as heavy either. That's why I love the 45s. The sound you get out of them are just nuts. So, there's really good Duran Duran stuff out there from that era too. Here's an interesting one. If you're into 80s music at all, check out the Duran Duran singles. They're really interesting, and I'll tell you why. So today, like if you were to go out and get, I don't know, Lizzo Truth Hurts, okay? You're going to get the CD or maybe just download. Let's just say that. Let's download the single of this. That's exactly what you hear on the radio. But then there's like an extended mix of the song. They took the single or they took that recording and they added stuff to the beginning and the end and extended the B sections and all that. That's how they do remixes now. That's how it's done. You take a track and you loop a bar and make it longer or whatever.
Right, yeah, cut it up.
Back in the old days, they didn't do that. They didn't have the technology to do that. So what Duran Duran would do, and they did this from day one, take a track like Hungry Like the Wolf that we're all very familiar with, okay? We've heard it on the radio 1,000 times. We've heard it on all the greatest hits CDs. We've heard it on Rio. They did something they called night versions of these tracks. And I believe they called them that because they were intended for club use. They were extended versions, but they weren't remixes. They were a second take, a completely different take on the song, but longer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like the single, but a different take on the single, and the nuances are a little different. The vocals are a little different. This is a band playing. This wasn't sequenced and guitars and computers and stuff. This was like a band. It's a little different. There's a night version of Hungry Like the Wolf. There's a night version of everything from the first 3 albums, as a matter of fact. Some are completely different. Some are just extended. And it sounds like it's familiar, but it's different. And it's really fun to listen to those.
How's the Chauffeur sound?
I don't know that there was a single for the Chauffeur. I think that was just an album track. I don't believe there was.
That's such a deep track. I'd love to hear a different version of what it was supposed to be. Kind of a, or night version of that. Night,
yeah. They call them sometimes. They call them all night versions, but sometimes they gave them a special name. Like I know Union of the Snake has a monkey mix. It's actually pretty good. I like it, but that's their night version of the song. They stopped doing that after Seven and the Ragged Tiger, and they were just doing the traditional remix that everyone does, for extended singles. Because it was digital and they could do it and they had the tech to do it. But back in the day, it was a completely different session where they recorded that stuff. So I really enjoy checking those out. Like My Own Way, if you know that track, it's on Rio.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff on Rio sounds like that it's almost got this tropical feel to it.
Oh yeah. It was done in like Sri Lanka where they shot the videos.
Right. It sounds like it could be like a ska band that just is doing some pop, and I love the sound. Just reminds me of fresh air and palm trees and a mojito or something. But when they did the other versions of that song, they did a night version of that one, but they also did a disco night version of that one, which is completely different. It's a great song.
You know what? And I have to interrupt because it goes back to what we talked about earlier. You say, the album Rio and this track, and I'm right back there, and you say, oh, it sounds very tropical, and I go, yeah, like the videos in Sri Lanka. I know where the videos were shot.
Yeah.
Not because I'm like the biggest Duran Duran fan, but because I didn't have the internet. I had MTV and music and a store, and you had to be in it. You had to be like, you've mentioned him before. I'll mention him again. Mr. Dowdle, Brian Dowdle from ADJ. He almost every day puts up an album he's listening to at the office. Yeah. And it's good stuff.
He loves music.
Out of nowhere go from, the Stranglers into XTC, into the Smiths, into New Order, into Susie and the Banshees. And, I feel almost bad for new DJs who don't have to know these things.
Mm-hmm.
They don't forget knowing what analog is, forget knowing what vinyl means. When I was on radio in the early 80s, we had vinyl. And then we bought a Sony CD player. And it was like $1,000 CD player. And the DJs would say, coming up next, The Police, Synchronicity on CD. Well, dude, you're in a 68 Plymouth Belvedere 2 listening through a Radio Shack head into 2 coax Jensen 6x9s. It didn't matter if it was CD. Like it sounded like it sounded. But
now, let me give you the short answer to the question, though, because Police Synchronicity would be a great album to get. Another great album to get
Great one to get.
would be Dire Straits' Brothers in Arms, because it's a wonderful recording and it's all
Don't
analog.
even go there. One of the greatest albums of all time. That and On Every Street. Every Street.
Those would be two really good ones to get.
Awesome.
And it just kind of depends on what your musical tastes are. But if you want to get something out of the record,
Prince album should someone get on vinyl?
oh, if you're just going to go crate digging and you happen to run across it, and I see it all the time, and I leave it there because I've got several copies of it, and it's important to me that someone else discovers this, and that is the 12-inch of Let's Go Crazy with the flip side of Erotic City. And that was like, if you don't know, Erotic City was the track back in the days that you played at the club. You didn't play Let's Go Crazy. Yeah, that's the singles for Let's Go Crazy. There's some flip side, we don't know what that is. Well, the flip side was the hot track. John knows this.
I do.
You know this. I mean, everybody played in the club. I mean, that got club play for 10 years.
I think that's actually
club play.
I think that's on the other side. The boys were actually playing that the other day, because they knew about Let's Go Crazy. So that was where they started. And then they flipped it over like, oh, what's on the other side?
Yeah.
Who hasn't done Britney Spears' Slave with Erotic City? Come on.
I wouldn't do that to Prince.
Oh, well, and, at the time.
He's a friend of mine.
Well, I know. You know him.
No, not like that. I mean.
Have you stood next to him in a nightclub?
I stood in front of him in a nightclub.
Exactly. So, you're on a different level.
No, it's not what you think. You look at him. He looks at you. You go, and he goes. And it's over. That's the conversation.
Just so we're clear, we can have my Aerosmith thing, your Huey Lewis thing. We're dealing with a guy over here drinking Starbucks who has had Prince look at him and give him an upwards head nod. Just so we're clear.
By the way, white guys go like this. Black dudes
exactly. They go up.
So you got to know.
If you
and then you're speaking his language. You're like, he's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. If it's not respect, you're like,
right. Yeah. This is cool. Yeah.
All the things you're learning on tonight's show, ladies and gentlemen.
Just stuff, man.
We're just here to help.
Okay,
so the 12-inch version of Let's Go Crazy is really good too.
Okay.
It's the same one that's in the movie Purple Rain, really, where it's got the really cool guitar break in it and the manic piano B section. Those are fun. And I did play that when I was a club DJ. I would play that and I would get a good dance floor from it and people would get excited.
Yeah.
And some of those old 12 inches, I'd let them play. I wouldn't cut them. I'd let them go their full length. Another really good one was Sheila E.'s Glamorous Life. The longer that song, the better. So I would play the 8
That's a great
version of it.
Good tune.
Yeah.
Well, that one and Stevie Nicks' Stand Back are two of my favorite songs. And I don't know that there's an extended version of Stand Back you need to worry about, but definitely the extended of Glamorous Life is amazing. And that's all Prince anyway. I mean, he's singing on it. He's singing like a lead track on it for her to sing, and they left it in when they recorded it. So it's really a Prince song.
Or which one? For Sheila E. or Stevie Nicks?
Sheila E.
Okay, yeah.
Now, the Stevie Nicks one is different. Here's the story in a nutshell. And she's told it before, but I guess she had gotten married to husband number 5 or whatever, and they were driving home in California somewhere, and they had the top down, and she heard Little Red Corvette for the first time, and she's like, "Oh my God, this song is amazing!" As most of us did, who had heard it for the first time. It's like, "What is this? This is insane!" So she gets really excited. On her honeymoon, she starts writing lyrics to the music of Little Red Corvette, like alternate lyrics to it. Right?
Oh wow!
And she goes into the studio and says, "Look, we're gonna take Little Red Corvette, and we're gonna change it a little bit, and I'm gonna sing this to it." So they do it, and then she's like, "It's not right." So she calls somebody and says, "I'm working on this track. It's actually I'm stealing Little Red Corvette, like note for note, and I got my own lyrics to it, but it's not quite right." And he's like, "Well, Prince happens to be in town. Let me give him a call." So he calls Prince, and Prince finds out Stevie's in the studio in Hollywood, and she's doing this thing. So Prince shows up during the session late at night,
really
lays down all the synth, and leaves. And that's the story of the song.
That's awesome.
Now if you look at any liner notes or ASCAP BMI royalties for that, Prince owns that song because that song is Little Red Corvette note for note. Play them back to back; it'll scare the shit out of you.
Know that.
Yeah. Well, think about the progression of it. Listen to them back to back; it'll scare you to death. It's the same song. It's almost like a Little Red Corvette remix or something.
John, real quick, because
We get
just two quick things. One, as I said, Brian would go all Prince. And I know we have a lot of younger
You
viewers.
baited me for this stuff, though.
Well, hey, I know we have a lot of younger viewers, and we're talking about things from the past. I think they need to understand this is how big a 12-inch is.
Well, it depends on what we're measuring.
No, Brian, this is 12 inches. Just
As this, yes.
Okay. Well, it's after 11 o'clock here Eastern. We need to wrap things up here. Gentlemen, thank you much for your thoughts and passion on our topics tonight. And
Thank you.
Thank you guys for being with us tonight. We covered a lot of ground this evening, and hopefully you found something of interest or entertaining, or at least now maybe we bored you to death and now you'll be able to go to sleep.
if you're at NAMM, please come by the Pioneer booth. I do not have the exact number yet, but it'll be the big one that says Pioneer DJ on it.
And there will be a
I
handsome
know about
man.
where it is.
Yeah,
I'll be there.
same place.
So yeah,
I'll be there.
next Tuesday night, Brian and Jay are going to be headed off doing their thing with NAMM. So we'll be getting reports from the guys, and you can just check the different YouTube channels and Facebook pages as we do our reporting from NAMM next week.
I might actually be around Tuesday. I don't think I'm flying out till Wednesday.
Okay, well, if we maybe we could do a
Tuesday
little
night?
Yeah.
If I'm around, I'd be happy to join in with you. Maybe we could do something in a hotel room.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Well, we'll kind of play it by ear then. Maybe that'll work out. So we'll see what happens. But thank you guys for being with us.
I'm definitely there Tuesday night. Are you there Tuesday night?
No.
Me?
No.
I think I'm going to fly on Wednesday. I haven't booked it yet, but Wednesday is my plan because I just want to go straight to my
I'm
hotel.
on property. I'm at the Marriott next Tuesday night.
No, so you're not.
So I'm available if something comes up.
Yeah,
so
that'd be cool.
Cool.
We can get-
Remember, it's going to be 7 o'clock though. Well, you already live out there. You already know that.
Yeah, he's
No change for you. Okay.
Right now it's 4:30 in the afternoon. I got to go to the pool because the sun's just about to set. So
it's like 4 degrees outside here. Thanks, Jay. All right, you guys have yourself a great evening, and we will catch you next time. Good night, everybody.
awesome.